Speaking of Disney, speaking of Lucasfilm, speaking of Indiana Jones, let's have a good old look at what mainstream media is now saying about Disney. Coincidentally, everything we've been saying, everything we have been saying, they're finally catching up, or maybe the checks are bouncing.
You think?
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, I'm not going to rag on Variety too much because I mean I made a video about this on my main channel, and I'm not going to rag on them too much. And the reason why is simply because it's not a bad thing that this is getting more mainstream attention. Like, it's good. Yeah, sure, they're late to the table. Yeah, sure, they're saying what we've been saying for years now. They've finally said it, but at least it's getting out there more and more, at the very least. And so, look, yeah, you're late to the table. Yeah, you're just parroting what we've been saying for years, but good, because it's still going to get out there more, and that's important. But they went really quite hard on them. They could have gone harder, obviously. But again, it's talking all about its budgets, and again, reiterating things I've said. Disney has been the Teflon movie studio. They were the name in family entertainment, the name for families, family entertainment. You had Marvel, Lucasfilm, Pixar, and Disney. Now, long reigning titan of the box office has shown cracks as 4 of its biggest releases from those brands and others have struggled in theaters. So Ant-Man and the Wasp has lost, it's not likely to lose tens of millions. It's likely to lose over $100 million, right? The Little Mermaid, remake no one wanted, has now lost money still. Elemental, that opened to the lowest Pixar opening ever. It's well known that they have a $200 million budget, give or take. So that's lost hundreds of millions of dollars. And then Indiana Jones, we know now that it's actually about $350 million investment. So that's losing hundreds of millions of dollars. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But again, to see this on a Variety article, crazy. They even say on paper, these films seems like they had all the makings of huge hits, but somehow the Disney sparkle was lacking. And so they say, they talk about Haunted Mansion, Guardians of the Galaxy. Looks like it'll be the studio's biggest earner this year. That's their biggest earner, and it only just went into profit with an $835 million take. Embarrassing.
You know what this article reminds me of? A saying that acceptance of truth comes in 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Then it is vehemently denied. And then it's seen as self-evident, as in no one ever denied this. That's where we are with Disney right now. Think back to like when the first Phase 4 movies, everything came out. Think back to The Rise of Skywalker, to The Last Jedi. All of us who were saying that Star Wars is in trouble, Marvel's is in trouble, you're laughed at, mocked at. Oh, you're just hysteric fanboys, stuff like that. Marvel's doing great. Disney's doing great. And then it became more angry and aggressive. Disney's doing great. Don't you dare say otherwise. Now you have Variety saying what we've been saying for years.
Yeah, and
now
as you were saying,
it's self-evident.
As you were saying, Nate, it's you kind of want to make fun of them, but at the same time, you kind of just want to pat them on the head and go, finally, you figured it out.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing I keep saying to people too, where they're just like, well, fuck them, when they hear actors finally come around the other way. And it's like, I get where you're coming from. And I'm sure if they said something that was completely like you can't, ignore them, fine, I understand that. But we also cannot turn away from when these people do finally turn the corner. Because you got to encourage it. Exactly. You can't be like them when, you can't be a dick about it. You got to just be like, yep, you're right. Now, what are we going to do about it? Like, that's the kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny as well. So Variety even says this. Disney still far outranks the competition in terms of market share in 2023, commanding 37% of the industry's revenues. Now, it doesn't matter, and this is what made me laugh when I made a video about it myself. Yeah, they might command 37% of the industry's revenues, but they haven't made a profit this year yet. Like, if you're looking at all of their films, they've lost money. like across the board, the money which has been lost in Indiana Jones, you know, the Ant-Man, Elemental, it doesn't make up for the tiny bit of profit that Guardians of the Galaxy's made.
No, in fact, that was washed
So-
out by Indiana Jones, especially because Valiant
Exactly.
Renegade had been doing this report that got picked up by Fox News and a bunch of other places.
Yeah.
Where basically he had estimated that at that point, and this was prior to Indiana Jones coming out, that in the past calendar year they had lost almost $1 billion. So you could pretty much chalk that to over $1 billion now.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
definitely by now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so this is the funny thing, because then they even say Universal is close behind at 31%. But Universal is actually making profit. Because isn't Universal, is it Universal that's the
Universal is the Disney killer right now.
Yeah,
Across
they've
the
had
board.
Mario Brothers,
Mario Brothers,
Studios.
Fast X did underperform, but otherwise, you know, they've had some fairly decent hits with Cocaine Bear and some other stuff that did well. Renfield didn't do well for them.
No, true.
Well, just like Kraken movie didn't do well for them this week, but those are like the occasional duds that every studio has.
Yeah.
Fast X,
Mario,
both duds.
Yeah,
Go
Fast
ahead,
X killed it overseas though. Still,
yeah.
True.
See, that's the thing. Locally, it didn't do well, but
No,
overseas, it killed.
Yeah, it was over 500 million.
Mario Brothers is going to help them for a while. I mean, sure, they got to share a big part of that profit with Nintendo, I'm sure, but they made bank on that movie. Come on.
Oh yeah, absolutely, unequivocally, they made loads of money. So it's funny, you know. Again, all these numbers. This is where they still need to pick up the slack, the mainstream media. So again, I give them a pat on the back, but still, it's all well and good saying that Disney outranks the competition in terms of market share. Sure, but it doesn't matter because they're losing money, right? Still need to highlight those kind of things.
Why aren't they bringing up Warner Brothers? Warner Brothers is the one who's dying right alongside Disney, if you ask me.
Well, but this is an article specifically just about Disney. But what I do find funny, and again, they are confirming finally what we've been saying on the conservative side of it. But this hopefully gives you guys, you guys watching this, obviously, you know that we know our shit. But there's all the naysayers that keep coming in here. So we have this. Because of all of its tentpoles, all the time strategy, Disney movies require production budgets of at least $200 million and a marketing cost of roughly $100 million. Now, $100 million is a conservative estimate. Oftentimes, it's more than that. And loads of people scoff when we say that the marketing budgets are that big. So it's really important. Finally, these things are saying it. Finally. You know, they're talking about break even at the box office. And someone who knows a little bit about Disney, we've got Jonas here. How you doing, good sir?
Doing well. Glad to be here.
What's up, Jonas?
The important thing in them spending this much money is because they're trying to build the next generation of merchandise sales more than they're trying to make a profitable movie. The movie situation has to change, but they're thinking to themselves, "Oh, we're going to get those sweet Black Ariel dollars. We're going to get those sweet Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania dollars." And the movie still has to be good for that to work, though.
Well, yeah, so it has to actually have a market that's interested in it.
Kind of like how those Mario figures are just flying off the shelves, right? Like that's the thing I was getting at earlier is like Universal, yeah, they're not doing too bad. Yeah, they've had some bummers this year, but on the side of merchandising, Universal's got Disney beat right now between just alone Jurassic World and Mario. If you think about it.
Yeah.
The bump in partner retail sales for Mario alone was enough to pay for the movie for Super Mario Brothers movie.
You go to a store, I'll tell you what, every section that has Mario stuff, it's like picked through like there's hardly anything left ever. I know they fill it up every week.
Yeah. And then we have this, right? You know, so this is what made me laugh about this article. The problem is that getting the costs under control will take time. Major movies take at least 3 to 4 years to develop, produce, and distribute, a lifetime in a fast-changing industry. Even if Disney is serious about tightening its belt, it may not make a noticeable difference until 2026 or beyond. That's it. That's if they're not bankrupt by that stage. I mean, they're down like $1 billion for like holy shit. Holy shit. And we know now that a bunch of the ESG money is drying up, isn't it? A bunch of companies have started pulling out of that. So how are they going to prop this up now? How?
I don't see how they can.
The parks are their reliable moneymaker, and those are in the toilet right now. So
yeah, they actually had their. I saw a report that they had their lowest 4th of July weekend with the shortest wait lines. I like in forever.
That's bad.
Yeah.
And again, another thing Variety parroted that we have been saying for ages is the COVID situation, right? Tens of millions of dollars were added on top of the production budgets. It was actually roughly 25% additional, of the production budget was sort of across the board. That was the thinking that was added, which is insane, absolutely insane. So that's an issue as well. But then you have dumb comments like this: an equity research analyst, whatever that actually is, made up job. If you cut costs, do you degrade the quality of the product? If you spend less, do people like the movies you're making less? And how much and how fast can you start cutting? Well, The Sound of Freedom seems to have proven that completely false, haven't they?
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, I don't remember who said this. I really wish I could, so I could give him credit for it. But somebody was talking to a producer or something like that about their movie being released, and they were worried about it making money that weekend. And the producer just quickly bit back with, "Oh, you don't have to worry. It just has to, entertain people as much as Avatar." I think it was Gary Tunnicliffe who told us this story. And he's like, what? He's like, no, your movie just has to compete with Avatar. And they're like, well, the people are paying the same amount of money to see your movie this weekend that they would normally pay to see a movie like Avatar. And as long as they feel like they got their entertainment value out of said movie, then you're fine. You're golden. If not, then you're fucked. I mean, and that's kind of how it is with most movies. The most average moviegoer, aside from us, doesn't understand or care about how much money goes into a movie. They just go to see a good story. Like, to them, that's at the end of the day what they care about. Sure, they're going to notice some shoddy effects and certain things like that might turn them off, obviously. But really what it boils down to is a movie like The Sound of Freedom can mean just as much to somebody, at the theater getting to see that movie as an experience as seeing something like Indiana Jones or bigger, right? It doesn't matter as long as you're entertained or you get something out of that experience. So, and I've heard The Sound of Freedom movie. It's a tough watch, but I mean, it's a movie that's made men weep, I've heard. Right. Yeah. That's the thing is it's a tough movie to get through, but sometimes though people want to be entertained. And when's the last time that you genuinely were entertained at a movie? Most people will turn around and say stuff like Top Gun 2 or Spider-Man No Way Home right now, because most of the movies coming out have been crap. So it doesn't even matter anymore if they're woke or not. They're just crap at this point. Nobody cares.
Yeah. Yeah, and continuing Variety's roast of Disney, and it truly is a roast. So Pixar becoming an anemic brand. Star Wars, they're like, it's lost its luster. Set in a galaxy far, far away. They've got some success on Disney Plus, but after the rise of Skywalker,
whoa, that's not even true. I mean, after season 3 of The Mandalorian, and nobody watched Andor. They're advertising Andor today as if it's a brand new series.
Yeah, well, they're saying after 2019. So I guess they kind of muddled it up here, really. So they're saying Mandalorian and Andor, but following 2019 release of Rise of Skywalker, Lucasfilm's efforts to get another trilogy off the ground have proceeded in fits and starts. Several high-profile projects being announced, only to disappear. Again, this is all the stuff we've been saying. They got there in the end. I'll believe there's a new Star Wars movie when I'm seated in the theater and seeing the opening crawl, says Josh Spiegel, a freelance film critic who specializes in Disney.
Yeah,
there have been so many false starts. But this is Variety saying this. This is what we've been saying for years. Yeah. It's just amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Crazy to see. Just.
Well, as I can say, there's a reason why we do this for a living.
Oh, wait, there's more. Right. So Live-action remakes of classics such as Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and The Jungle Book with theatrical gold mines, even as those films were criticised by some as shot-for-shot remakes of the originals. At that time, the Disney name alone was enough to cut the noise in a crowded market, but the lackluster global turnout for The Little Mermaid is a sign that brand familiarity is no longer the ticket to get people to go to theatres, and the failure of the latest Ant-Man indicates the studio may need to be more judicious in the sequels it decides to back. That's an issue because the studio has found less success in launching new original franchises other than Frozen. Disney desperately needs to create something new. It does a good job at cannibalizing itself. They remake their movies and echo what they've done in the past. At a certain point, there won't be a whole lot for them to echo. Have we been saying this how long? How long now? Creative bankruptcy, make something new.
Yep.
God damn. This is just, it's hilarious. This is coming from Variety, of all places.
Well, in Disney, what they did is they really sullied the brand, right? Like, I mean, that's the thing. Disney used to be a thing that parents trusted, kids trusted, to where it didn't really matter what the next Disney movie was. You just paid attention because it was.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it was. When growing up, I knew what every single Disney movie was because they made sure I knew what it was. They made it feel like it was a big event for the family. You know, they would even get your parents kind of excited for it sometimes. Like, I could tell where sometimes there was like my mom was more excited to see a Disney movie sometimes than I would be, you know?
Yeah.
And I got I'm sure I got drugged to The Little Mermaid. I didn't necessarily want to see it, but I fell in love with it after I saw it. And the last thing I want to see is some shot for shot remake, especially if it's not even going to be technically shot for shot because you're recasting or you're casting it in people in roles that they don't really belong in, I guess we'll say. But anyway, that's just me. But anyhow, and the audience has spoken, I guess. That's my feelings on it. Jonas, what do you think?
Well, I think the bankruptcy is only continuing as they're now doing they're doing a remake of Moana, which is not that old.
I know. I saw that. Oh my God.
They're basically promising, no, it's going to be as close as we can possibly get to the exact thing that you already have. And the reason they're doing that is because that is one of the few things, according to the Nielsen numbers, it's one of the few things on Disney Plus that they own that is a consistent performer. Because you know that if Bluey, their top show of I think of all time on Disney Plus, if they had the movie rights to that, they would be going there. But thankfully, the little adorable Australian sheepdog is out of their hands. They can't ruin that by making it non-binary or
thank fuck for that.
Something. So.
Yeah. Well, what do we think to Variety finally saying what we've been saying all along, Andre? Hurrah or boo?
I am trying to think of a translation to the Norwegian expression "velkommen etter." That's what I want to tell them. "Velkommen etter," which basically means something along the lines of, well, welcome afterwards. You were certainly late to the party.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I'm glad that you are finally seeing the reality. But where were you 3 years ago?
Yeah. Well, it's funny as well because it was the likes of Variety and people like that was calling everyone. And recently, they did it recently. It's review bombing. It's all racist review bombers. That's why these films haven't done very well. Blah 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 blah. There's clearly been a change somewhere. Something's flicked for them to finally go. Oh yeah, let's just actually tell the truth.
Well, maybe Disney's check to them didn't clear.
Yes, that's what I said at the start. The check bounced. Like,
well, and that's just it.
Send it on. My God,
like when all you have to really offer is access, and all you're accessing is shit.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
And people don't care. I mean, after a certain point, they're like, I don't give a shit. You know, it's the same reason why they don't really care so much about certain other studios is because, yeah, it's like, what have you done for me lately kind of mentality. Disney was the only studio that up until like certain points in their history, and we're only talking like maybe 2 points. Jonas probably could speak to it better than me, where basically you had the dark times of right after Walt died up through the 80s. And then, you know, more recently with the post Pirates era where they were trying to get something else off the ground and it just couldn't work, you know, like the John Carters and the all that kind of stuff, you know. Up until then, like, since then, Disney, you know, bounced back and they were bigger than ever until more recent years, where we just kept telling them, like, dude, you're going to hit a brick wall. You're heading right towards this brick wall. You took this thing that you had in Star Wars and Marvel and you're going to destroy it. We all said, look, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. You're headed right there. Oh, they wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.